Top three mistakes I see entrepreneurs making a mistake on when they're going on to their online presence is very simple. It's unclear messaging. You are unclear about the message you are putting out there into the world. Being too broad is not going to help you any. There's billions and billions of people on this planet. You don't have to market to all of them. And the other side of that is getting too niched, where you're so niched, you can't find your market. And that, like a lot of times, and this actually leads to the second one, social media. Social media is another big one with online presence that you're either your profile's not set up right, you're on the wrong platform, you're giving the wrong messaging, your content isn't making sense because of the unclear messaging. And so they kind of go hand in hand. Actually, all three of them go hand in hand. But on the social media, I've talked about it before. You can go back and look at my other videos. On social media, you need to be very clear about where your audience is so that you're targeting them right. And really understand that keywords and hashtags, they make a difference. Same with collaborating. Those are all huge pieces to social media. And so when you're looking at that unclear messaging, and then number two being social media, they kind of cross over on each other. And when we look at unclear messaging, I see that a lot. I know I'm going back and forth between the two, bear with me. I know I see that a lot on websites where they threw up a website and they didn't necessarily look at keywords. They weren't very clear, so they couldn't find the right keywords. They hadn't done enough research on their market. And then at the same time, maybe you're having some imposter syndrome, or you're not feeling like you can be authentic. You're still got some stuff you're working through. And so you're struggling with designing your website authentically. And so there's those pieces to the unclear messaging, which rolls over into your social media. And on social media, that's why I always tell everyone to pick one platform when they start. You really need to dive into that one platform and just have blinders on and only focus on one. That's it. The one where your audience is. Don't focus on any others. I show you how to scale that, but you always want to focus on one. Once that one is built and it's doing well, you've got, and well would be like all kinds of measurements that we can go over, what we share in Ready to Launch, but it's looking at the KPIs and the click rates and the follows and the engagement, all of those different things. The third one is SEO. SEO is really important for your website. And SEO is essentially like you can look at it as like keywords and tagging on your social media. SEO is, I mean, there's actually more to it than that, but that's just like the very high level of it. SEO is what is going to attract people when they're going to MSN, Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, and doing searches for what you are delivering. And so having the right SEO. Now, SEO is an interesting one, especially now that there's so many AI platforms out there. They're like, hey, I'll SEO your site, or this application, you plug it into your site and it SEOs. Those are not bad. That they're basic though. Like they really start the SEO journey for your website, and it's not a bad place to start, right? At least you're doing something. But there's other things like backlinking. There's other things like mapping and what have you that you need to look at on your website for SEO. And so it's not a bad idea to have a professional doing your SEO when it's time. After you get the basics set up, you're not unclear about your messaging anymore. You're not unclear about your social media. Those things are going, and your basic SEO has been set up. Then you want more traffic to your website. And so then you lean in on SEO. And on SEO, it's usually a contract. Lots of companies do it. You can get it done for like $1,000 to $20,000. It just depends on how you got it set up. I've had quotes that were $20,000 for 3 months of SEO. And they were also integrating ads to that, in their fairness. but just good old-fashioned SEO is going to cost you a minimum of $1,000 a month. And what that is, and what that usually entails, is all that extra, right? Specific blogs designed with backlinking, keywords, and all those things to your audience and the subjects they care about. And those get written for you by human beings that understand your business. And then those get shared out on other platforms, and they take care of that for you. So you don't have to worry about that. And then they start getting picked up on all these crawlers, because that's what you want to have happen with SEO, is all these crawlers picking it up. Now, SEO is also picking up on social media accounts. So again, these all three feed each other. And that's why I'm saying, like, first you have to have clear messaging, then you have to have your social media, then you have to have your SEO. With the SEO, what will happen is something like, for example, LinkedIn now is very much coming up and being populated in searches. When you're looking for services, they'll say, hey, we have these people on LinkedIn that offer this service. Check out their profile, right? Like, that's a thing. So you want to look at your social media, because there's other types of platforms that are doing this as well. And you're going to see that that's a new trend in 2025, and it's going to continue to grow. MSN and LinkedIn partner together on some of this. And so you're definitely seeing it on that platform. So when you're looking at options and mistakes that solopreneurs or entrepreneurs make in these areas, they breeze over them. They will either launch without clear messaging. Again, that's why strategy is super important and why we go through the steps we do and ready to launch. They will do too many social media platforms, so they're not actually adding value. And then on their SEO, it's not clear because those first two aren't clear. And you might not have taken the time when you were setting up your website to plug something in or to get the right keywords in there to create that SEO. And there's also do's and don'ts with all of these, right? There's old practices that'll actually degrade you on these platforms now. And that's okay if you want to take that risk. Sometimes it's a pretty heavy weight, and sometimes it's not that big of a deal. Like, 1 in 100 points, you lose 10, big deal. Maybe go that route anyways, because it's going to have more opportunity depending on what your business is and how it's designed, right? So when we're looking at it, those are a lot of the times some challenges that I see. I'm going to add a fourth one here, and it is strategy. And even though it's the fourth, I would say it's the most critical. Again, people tell you in all these programs, I was successful this way, so you can do it this way. Well, okay, you were successful that way. And let's just be honest. First, let me say, the honesty here is, look at how fast the world moves now. Look at how fast business moves, technology moves, scrolling, the sounds, the noises of society, the world that we're facing. And now you want me to take your course that was the thing that worked for you 3 years ago, and now you've created an entire course around it, and you can guarantee that's going to be the same for me? No, that's not how it works. Strategy that is unique to you and your business is the key, and that's the difference. The strategy you use is what we do, is go through that and design it for your company for success, so you can be that success story. If you're following what someone else did, okay, are you doing exactly the same thing they did 3 years ago? Because 3 years ago, there are new platforms that are growing rapidly, and platforms that are old that are growing rapidly. And then there's platforms on social media that are dead. Look at television, right? We have gone from television to subscriptions to, having all of these different, like, YouTubes and different platforms we can use, where everyone's making their own content and their own shows. That was not the case in the volume it is now. So are you going to go do an ad on cable television? Maybe that's your audience, right? But are you going to be selling a new hair product? Now you're probably talking TikTok, right? Or Instagram at the least. So you've got to be able to understand these strategies are these strategies that other people have done are not going to be the right one for you. The right one for you is designing that strategy. So that strategy is really key. It helps you identify your growth, your income, your marketing, your platforms you're going to use for technology, because I don't care what business you are, you have to be online nowadays. Um, even the farms around me are online. So come on. Um, and even like your employees and all these things, because it gives you clarity. Because once you open your doors, launch your site, whatever you want to call it, the noise gets tremendous. Everybody, it's like the vultures come out and everyone starts marketing to you. You need to do this. You got to have that. I can do this for you. You know, all these different things. And you've got to learn how to vet that noise. And if you don't have a strategy, which is not the same as a business plan, if you Google it, it's these are the things, right? Great, sure, have that. But you need an execution strategy to keep you focused and clear. And we go through that. And that is the most important thing you can do. And that is the biggest mistake people make, is they copy what other people are doing and not identifying their own unique strategy. And then what follows is those common mistakes of unclear messaging, SEO, social media. So get your strategy straight. If you don't have that, you're interested in looking to start a business, you already started a business and it's not going so well, join Ready to Launch. We go through things like this and we talk about designing your strategy, identifying all these things that make you unique, your strengths, your abilities, the things that you find joy in, how you can scale your business specifically around these types of ideas. And it's not just like automated learning of like, hey, here's a video of me. No, I'm there live with you. We go through this. We have conversations. Like this is really like us digging in. That's why it takes 10 weeks, because I don't want you to fail. If you fail, it's because you quit on yourself. And that's another topic we have a different day. But we go through all of that and make sure that you have these things in place so that you're not making those mistakes, because they are critical. And I don't want you to lose your dreams. There's no reason you should today. Nowadays, 38% growth, and it is expanding even beyond 38%. People are starting businesses, side hustles, straight up leaving their companies or from scratch right out of school, right? Everyone's coming from a different walk of life and they're starting businesses. 38%, and that is rising. And there's so many reasons for that. I'll talk about it in other posts, but there's something there. And so if you have a desire and you have a dream to start something on your own, even if it's just for creative freedom and a fun side hustle, I have one of those, right? I have a whole podcast that is just like every time my team's like, we could really do something. I'm like, no, don't crush my hobby. This is me and my friends getting together. We're just screwing off. I don't want rules, right? I don't want anyone in it. This is my fun. Uh, that's fine. You can have a side hustle doing that because it is fun, right? You don't need to turn it into a huge empire. But if you do have a desire to turn it into a huge empire and have these other dreams and desires, and it's not just a creative outlet, you know, there's those paths too. But you don't know until you start unpacking all of that. And I'm here to make sure that you're successful in the journey.